What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Booze, Bets, and Ball podcast. I'm Alec, joined by Nate. And Nate,
What's
today
happening, Alec?
how's it going? Going good. How are you?
Fantastic. Good
That's
Monday.
good. Yeah, not too bad. And today we are talking about NIL because it's been the talk of the week for the most part in college football.
It has, with the transfer of Jordan Addison, the saga that was the transfer of Jordan Addison over to USC eventually after being supposed to go to USC before he was even in the portal, and then some drama between them and Texas and Pitt, and then ultimately signing a reported $3.5 million NIL deal to go stay in LA for a year.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is going to blame him for taking $3.5 million while in college, moving to LA to play with that free agent team that Lincoln Riley has put together out there. That has been kind of impressive what they've done.
So just for the 10 or 20 or 30 people that are going to watch this, the rule of thumb is that if anyone's going to give you $1 million to do something that you're going to do anyway, you do it.
Yeah.
So like he was going to play college football anyway, and he's going to get $3.5 million to do it versus whatever he would have got at Pitt. So while I get the problems that people have with him leaving Pitt after a really breakout season, it's in his best interest, right? You can't blame him for that. Alec pays me precisely $0 to do this podcast, and if Portnoy or Bill Simmons call and offer me $1 million, I'm sorry, bud, but I'm out.
Yeah, I'm not blaming anybody. I will fold this if I get the same offer. So it's understandable. I mean, he at least, I guess they tried to make it look normal with Pickett leaving for the NFL, and then his wide receivers coach went to Texas, and then Texas presumably finishes second in this. What I will say is a lot of people want to take their anger out on Addison. I wouldn't do that because anybody in that situation is going to do the same exact thing. This goes to the NCAA and some of these states with the laws they passed that it hasn't been controlled or regulated in any way. So don't blame the teams. Don't blame the players. It's pretty much the third party officials that should be, preventing this kind of stuff from happening. Everyone else is just playing by the rules that aren't really there.
The one point maybe that you can make that's not within the rules per se, right, is that the assumption that he was contacted by USC before he was in the portal, right? And if there is the alleged tampering that people say, and that's maybe what drew it out a little bit longer than him just going to USC straight away, that gets into a little bit of a gray area, I think. But otherwise, yeah, you should never blame the kid or the young man, right, for taking the money and working within the rules that are now allotted to him. Coaches, the argument is coaches can get up and leave whenever they want, so why can't the players too? Now, like, state laws dictate this, right? And as we've talked about, or in the group chat, the Pennsylvania law is a little restrictive, and we'll see how that impacts Penn State and some of the other teams in the Commonwealth, because it's only going to take a couple of years, I think, for talent to concentrate to the schools that have money. And if you're not one of those schools, you're going to get left behind very quickly, and it's going to be very, very difficult to catch up, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, guys so worried about getting hurt that they're skipping bowl games. We could see they'll like, I'll take the money right now just as an insurance policy, which, I mean, no one's going to blame them if that's what they're putting, banking on. Being a pro football player as a career, take whatever money you can get as quick as possible.
Yeah. And according to the one article I pulled up, Golf Digest, reportedly will make more than Juju Schuster-Smith will make for the Chiefs this year. So
I did see that. Yeah,
that's just insane. So yeah, he did the thing that was best for him. Now, where this gets to be maybe a little bit, I think that there's a few areas where in the future we'll see how this plays out, right? So there are no rules, and you're just basically bound by the academic calendar. So you won't see, mid-season Jordan Addison transferring to Texas if USC is on a slide or something like that. There is a little bit of that limitation, at least in season. And he was a high recruit, right? He had his choice of many opportunities, I think, coming out of high school. But where this is really going to impact kids are maybe the FCS or lower FBS kids who are not heralded as recruits. They, get an opportunity at, say, a MAC school or a Sunbelt school and break through, that's really going to positively benefit them, but it's also going to concentrate that talent more at the top as they break out. So you'll still see a funneling of kids out of the lower ranks, I think, into, ultimately what's going to be the 10 or 15 schools that have the ability to pay 7-figure NIL deals.
Yeah, I think we are going to see a lot of smaller schools eventually have to fold football programs because they just won't have enough kids to field a roster, really. It's unfortunate, but it's probably what's going to happen. I mean, the way I look at NIL overall is a good thing, but they do need to, put some things in place on it, like contacting kids that are currently enrolled at another school and saying, hey, we'll give you $3 million to come here. Like that can't happen. But like Penn State's starting quarterback, Sean Clifford, starting his own business out of it, being able to be in the NCAA video game, being able to charge for an autograph, like that's fine. That should be allowed. Like it's their face, it's their name. They should be able to profit off of themselves.
I agree. Yeah, I think absolutely right. This is what they've been asking for since Ed O'Bannon started this case, and it's good for them. Now there are unintended consequences that they have to figure out. The NCAA, the universities, the states have to figure out, but we're moving, I think, in the right direction. It's just right now it's a little bit of the Wild West too, and they have to figure some limitations on contact. And this is the one place I think where Narduzzi was saying, right, that it does appear to be some sort of tampering. And that's just kind of unfair, right? The one thing that I'll ever agree with Pat Narduzzi about is not kicking a field goal down 7 with like a minute and a half to go at the 3-yard line. But this is that thing. So,
yeah, for sure. There was another situation this past week that involved that, and it was between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher, who got into, Saban started this kind of out of nowhere. He was at like a coaches conference for Alabama because Nate Oates, the basketball coach, was next to him when he said this, and he just kind of out of the blue said Texas A&M paid for every single recruit in the highest rated recruiting class in recruiting history.
If I might read the quote.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Alabama Crimson Tide coach Nick Saban during an event with local business leaders in Birmingham. I mean, we were second in recruiting last year. A&M was first. A&M bought every player on their team, made a deal for name, image, likeness. We didn't buy one player, all right? But I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that in the future because more and more people are doing it. It's tough. Hell, read about it in the paper. I mean, Jackson State paid a guy $1 million last year that was a really good Division I player to come to the school. It was in the paper, and they bragged about it. Nobody did anything about it. I mean, these guys in Miami, they're going to play basketball there for $400K. It's in the newspapers. The guy tells you how he's doing it. So there you go. That's what started this, both with, not only with Jimbo, but also with Deion Sanders. So,
taking a lot of weird swings there. And obviously Jimbo comes back, that didn't happen. And then today he said that only, I think, one of the 12 early enrollees even has a deal currently in place with somebody from Texas A&M, whether it be a booster or business or something like that. So, I mean, it's hard to say who's in the right. They're probably neither in the right, but.
So I saw, I should have pulled up the tweet, but it was effectively 5 stars who went to A&M, and these numbers are going to be roughly right, but not exactly right. 5 stars going to A&M. Like 2017, it was 0. 2018, it was 1. 2019, it was 1 or 2. 2020 was 1 or 2, and then 2022, it was 6. Right, so they went from maybe 5 combined for the last 5 years to 6 just in this year, and
they didn't get any better either. Like it's not that they made the playoff or anything.
No, right?
That would force this to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And Jimbo's been there for a few years, right? He hasn't built these relationships.
It's not a new boost or anything. Yeah.
And there were tons and tons of rumors going around throughout the recruiting cycle that they were, really ponying up big bucks for these players. So, if you're implying that they bought them being, like in the olden days of throwing a bag at them where it's illegal, maybe that's not the case because now it's legal or at least it's allowed. So, maybe Jimbo's argument is that we did what was in the rules. And I think he, in fact, said something to that effect. But still, I mean, A&M is a huge alumni base. They have very rich donors who are in the oil industry and things like that. So they are going to have this money, but Bama comes with a lot of money too, right? Bama is historically one of the best football programs over the last 50 plus years. And in the last 10 years, they are clearly the best. So if you don't think that they are going to be able to compete on an even footing with A&M and Clemson and USC and everybody else, you're sorely mistaken, at least until Saban retires.
Yeah, I don't think Saban was wrong. I just think he's kind of throwing stones in a glass house when last offseason, before the season started, he's talking about how Bryce Young had $1 million in NIL
right, yeah.
before he even played. That's pretty much kind of doing the same thing.
It is. Yeah, it is, right? That was the first real seven-figure NIL deal that was really announced, right? Besides Quinn Ewers and some like Korean energy drink or something like that.
Yeah.
I forget what it was, but some strange thing.
That
so yeah,
right. That did happen. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't. He's not wrong, but he's also not someone who should be saying something like that because he's kind of doing the same thing. Maybe not the same way, but it ends up with the same result.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited. I don't know where that game is this year, but I'm excited to watch the A&M Bama game because there will certainly be some tension. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if one team gets ahead early, I just want to see how much they're willing to run it up if it isn't close.
Besides the 6 5-stars, what does A&M have coming back? I'm not really too sure. Bama's going to be loaded, right? Clearly.
Yeah, Bama's loaded. The thing is, Texas A&M is not the top of my priorities.
No,
ever. But
they live like 60 miles from me.
Yeah, you should be more than me. I live 1,000 miles away.
Yeah. So our friend Justin is telling us that this year they had 8 5-stars and 19 4-stars. So that's 27 recruits that are just. I mean, that's an incredible class. Yeah, that's got to be one of the best classes in history. Yeah.
It is rated as the highest score. If you go by the 247 composite score they put out, it is the best that ever lived, or whatever you want to say. So it is impressive. It's kind of the same thing as the Addison thing. If is doing that really right? No, but if no one's saying you can't do it, then do it. Use it to your advantage to put the best team possible out there.
Yeah, of course. I think, you're playing within the rules, right? At least it's much more open than it was 2 or 5 or 10 or 20 years ago. One of my favorite stories as a kid, so I'm older than you, obviously, right? But I used to love UNLV basketball back when it was Larry Johnson, Stacey Ogren, and these guys. And then it came out that, they were getting paid all this money. And there were pictures, Sports Illustrated cover of them in a hot tub with some rich Vegas guy. And it's one of these things that, as a kid back in the late 80s, early 90s, you don't want to think that your team is cheating because they're so good. Right. But of course, they were so good because that's they were NIL before NIL, and basketball is way easier because you only need 7 or 8 guys to be really fantastic. So
exactly,
it's better that it's out in the open now. Maybe UNLV will be able to come back and be good again.
Yeah, maybe. So a lot of NIL talk going on. It's probably not going to go anywhere anytime soon. But speaking of money, we have to bring in the money man himself. Justin is here.
What's up?
How's it going, Justin?
Good.
Good. Are we not getting any interruptions this week?
No, we are not. Don't worry about that.
Good to hear. So we have some bad news, though. Tyler Hero let you down last week.
Yeah. So, I like that bet. I was pretty confident about that bet. I usually throw really not the smartest bets just for fun. But last week I thought that was a pretty smart bet with I forget who was out for the Heat, but he started.
Horford and Smart were both out.
Oh, yeah, for the Celtics, yeah. So, he had his first 3 in the first 2 minutes of the game. It was over 1.5. You can't get more unlucky than that. So, I think that was a smart bet, but yeah.
So let me ask you this: if you knew that in the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, his over/under for threes was 0.5, how much money would you have bet?
I don't have a lot of money to bet, but if I had money, I'd throw at least if I had a lot of money, I'd say at least 100 on that because most of his shots are 3-pointers. or deep mid-range shots. Because he's always coming
It
off.
just
the
shows
pick
how
and roll.
unlucky he got, though, with
Yeah.
that, right? Like that he made the first one and then went 0 for 4 after that.
Yeah. I mean, can't do anything about it, but can move on to my bets this week.
That's right.
Which tonight I have a few bets, but of course you guys won't be able to do anything with that. But I threw about $5. I'm throwing smaller bets, but smarter. $5 on Tatum to score 5 points each quarter. He's got 20 already. He had 10 in the first, 10 in the second so far. And
All right.
then I have Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum 40 points with rebounds, points, and assists all combined. So they get over 40 or at least 40. And I like that because they both score like 20 plus and get like 10 rebounds.
Wait, is that individual or combined?
Like for each person? Or
Yeah, is it 40 combined or 40
so,
each?
they both have to score 40 like points, rebounds,
Oh, okay.
combined with that. So you can get like
Okay,
35 and 5.
Right.
And
So Butler's at 11 right now, and Tatum's at 28.
Oh, 28?
Yeah, because he has 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists.
Oh, okay. I thought
So he should get there, but Butler's got a little way to go. Yeah.
What's the score right now?
It is 49-23.
Yeah, 49-23. Celtics.
You want to see the Heat close the gap a little bit, right? So that
Yeah, you're gonna sweat that out a little.
Jimmy Butler come alive.
Yeah,
or Tatum might not play in the fourth either. There goes the 5
also
points.
safe. But for some bets I got tomorrow on the Warriors versus the Mavs, I'm taking Jordan Poole's player combo over 19.5 with points and assists because I don't see Steph Curry playing that much or as much. It's game 3. They're going back to the Warriors for game 5. I mean, no, it's game 4. They're going back to the Warriors for game 5. So they're not too worried if they lose. So I don't think they're going to risk injury, but he'll still play. But Jordan Poole's averaging about over 20 a game in the playoffs. So 19 with points and assists, it seems silly to not bet on.
Yep.
And then I got Luka over 34.5 because I don't see him going down without a fight.
I mean, he does do everything for
He
that
carries
team.
the team. He scores over 35 almost every game so far.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean that is a one-man show there. I kind of feel for him. We'll see. That'll be a trade request waiting to happen in a couple of years, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, and their other players don't show up, they're going to get swept. No other way really around it.
Who you got in the finals right now?
Well, I said in the group chat, I had the Warriors either sweeping or 5 games, and then I have the Heat in 7. Just because I hate the Celtics. Celtics are the better team.
Yeah.
Probably have the better all-around team, but I like the Heat and how they play. So I hope they win. And I think they could.
We'll see.
And the Heat stands no chance against the Warriors, right? The Warriors are going to roll in the finals.
Yeah, Warriors 5 or 6 probably. I think if they play the Celtics, that would be 6 or 7 definitely. But I still have the Warriors coming out on top no matter what.
So would this be Curry's most impressive ring?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Just because Clay is not how Clay used to be.
No.
Like he's had a few good games, but he's definitely not the same Clay with the knee injuries. Draymond's still Draymond, just there, always playing his heart out. And then Jordan Poole's
a little too
good.
much.
Yeah. Jordan Poole's a good bench player, but he doesn't have Kevin Durant, of course, one of the best scorers of all time, best players of all time. And then who they have for center back then?
Well, they played small sometimes, and Iguodala would be in.
Yeah,
but their first ring, they had that Zaza Pachulia guy.
Oh, okay,
yeah. So and then there's only like 2 teams in the NBA that still use a center, so they got rid of him.
That's true.
Yeah. I think the Sixers and the Nuggets are like the only teams that still use a center, and the Bucks a little.
Yeah. Even though Giannis doesn't really plays like the point guard, basically.
Yeah, they have Lopez still. Though,
yeah, true. Yeah, Brooklyn. Yeah,
but he stands at the 3-point line the entire time.
Yeah, he'll let Giannis drive and then throw it out to him.
Yeah, it's a spacing problem. But
yeah, and then I got future bets for Penn State football. If we want to.
All right, let's hear him. Let's hear him.
All right. So I saw Purdue's line. It was +1, but today it got moved up to +3. So I'd definitely recommend, or I'd take that like right now, just because it's probably going to keep moving up and up once we get closer. Because I see us beating them.
Penn State's getting 3 or Purdue's getting 3?
Oh, sorry. Penn State -3. My fault.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no. I'll definitely take our spread. Just because, I know it's away. First game of the season, Thursday night. It's
Right.
Purdue. They could always upset us. But with David Bell out, well, he's gone now, of course, in NFL. And then I forget the star's name, but his last name was Melton. I forget his first name as wide receiver. He got kicked off for academic.
Yeah. His name Milton Wright.
Yeah, Milton Wright. That's what it was. Yeah, Milton Wright. Yeah, he was projected number one wide receiver this year, and he got kicked off for academics.
Yeah,
I really don't see them moving the ball with Joey, Kalen, Daquan, Jair. I don't see them doing anything. So
yeah,
I'll definitely take that.
And Karlaftis is gone, right? So their defense, I don't know what it was. It wasn't very good before, but pass rush will be down certainly.
Yeah, and that will help us for O-line, of course.
Yeah,
hopefully
exactly.
they play this year better.
I am interested to see how Aiden O'Connell does without those 2 guys to throw to.
Yeah, I saw he was someone on, I forget what platform, but they released their top 25. I think it was 247.
Yeah, they did theirs today.
Top 25, and he was top 15 quarterback returning.
His numbers were pretty good, and he didn't even really start the whole year. Plummer played a lot.
Yeah. No, he's definitely pretty good. I don't see how you're going to be able to really move the ball with that offense with those people they have compared to us.
Where was Will Levis on that list? I think do we know?
Ooh,
future number 1 or 2.
I did look at it actually.
Yeah,
no shade to Will Levis. Will Levis is an awesome dude, but he's number 1 or 2.
we love him. We just don't think he's the first pick in the draft.
That makes no sense to me. No logical sense. He's got the tools, of course.
He does
to be that good, but I don't see why you don't take Bryce Young or CJ Stroud over him. As of now.
Oh, here we go. So they have Will Levis at 15, and they have O'Connell at 16.
Okay. Clifford?
Not
on the list.
Yeah.
Top 25 just? Okay, because I saw him on a list today, and I forget what it was, but it was top 50, and he was 28th or something. A lot of these lists are coming out now. So
yeah. I think some people will take into account what he looked like before his injury, and some will just look at the season as a whole and are like, no. And then others are like, yeah, he's pretty good. His completion percentage dropped 10 points after he got hurt. It went from 67 to 57 or something like 66 maybe to.
Also
the Auburn game, he was over 70 in the Auburn game, right? He played lights out in the Auburn game, and until 3 minutes into the second quarter of the Iowa game, he was 70+%. We'll get there. We'll talk about that as the summer goes, but that is, I don't know. Penn State goes 10-2 or better if he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, I agree with that. With the wins being said, for next year, the Penn State line's 8.5, I believe. So I'm taking the over. I say we go 9-3 at worst, or I think that's probably most likely situation.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't think we're probably gonna lose at Michigan, of course. Probably be a night game at Michigan. It's gonna be hard to win. And then Ohio State, that's whenever. It's Ohio State anyway. So either way, it's probably most likely a loss. And then we always throw one after that. Because then they're the season's over. We lost the Big Ten already. They kind of give up the week after. Or if it's a bye week, always after bye week, we always lose.
Yep.
So I'd say 9-3 because all the other games are pretty simple. I think maybe Auburn we could lose because Auburn.
Yeah, on the road I don't know how good Auburn's going to be, but on the road is always tough.
Yeah, it's SEC on the road. It'll be tough.
Yeah.
But for sure take over 8.5. I think.
Yeah. All right. Some good bets today, Tyler or Justin. Really knocked it out of the park today.
Thank you.
So you're staying on though because Dylan is sick, so he's getting out of back-to-back podcasts. You'll see him eventually, I hope. I don't know for sure, but you should see him. So we're gonna keep Justin on, and we're gonna bring Tyler on to give us his weekly story as my internet lags out.
Hey everyone.
All right, What's up, Tyler?
It's your favorite alcoholic?
It is.
So, Tyler, we were talking about stories that you're going to tell, and for the best story that we have to bring a special guest on, and she wasn't quite ready this time. So we're going to go with the time when you almost got an underage drinking violation at Michigan. Apparently, that's a good one. And I don't remember all the details of this. So.
This is a good one, and honestly, it's going to be kind of embarrassing doing all this because everyone's going to think I'm making this shit up. I swear to God, this is just a day in my life. Like I just do this shit for the fun of it. But so let's see. When was this? Was the Michigan Whiteout in 2019? Is that lineup right? Yeah. So Whiteout, we would have been. I was a junior.
20. Yeah, we were 20, I think.
Yeah, so I was 20.
Yeah.
So it was night game. College student. You're drinking all day. Probably, I think I was out the night before for like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I just woke up at 8 and went up to the stadium. But it was a good day, just boozing at tailgates, running around, doing whatever. And we're at those white tent tailgates, like right by the soccer stadium before you go in.
Oh, the legit ones, yeah.
Yeah, like you had to like pay for them or some shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Brand for those.
So some parent there goes, all right, we're headed in the game. Everyone grab your last call of beers. I'm like, all right, it's 6 o'clock. If I'm going to the game now, I gotta definitely take some alcohol in, and I've gotten pretty good at this. Like, I hope no one from Beaver Stadium does this. Is we got to crack down because I'm pretty good at sneaking in some beer cans to football games. But we're walking to the stadium, and I think I had like 7 beer cans on me, 2 in my hand. Like both were open. I'm just casually talking with my friends and drinking the beer, and I'm like, all right, like no one's gonna stop me right now, and I'm doing the same thing right now, like just telling a story to my friends. Out of nowhere, I get grabbed and thrown into a car. And I literally was like, all right, who's trying to fight me right now? Like, this is not happening.
Maybe abduct you, but
seriously, I was like, what's going on right now? And I would see a jersey. So I'm like, this is so weird. So as I turn to see who grabbed me, I see a badge around his neck. And I'm like, oh, mother. Yeah. Apparently I'm not allowed to swear anymore. But
you just can't say the F word. That's all.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, but so I'm there, and this cop's like grabbing me, and I'm like, "What do I do?" And he's like, "I just think you're underage the way you're acting." And I'm like, "What? Carrying a beer can?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "So you're telling me the 100,000 people up here walking around with beer cans are all acting underage?" He goes, "All right, smart ass." And I'm like, "Okay." So then he's like getting all sassy with me, and he goes, "I see some ID." And so the whole time I have my wallet in my back pocket, but this is when Penn State faced to that whole mobile ticketing, so you didn't like need your student ID or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I'm really good at lying on the spot. And I'm like, oh, I didn't bring my wallet because, as a 21-year-old, I'm going to be up here drinking, and I didn't want to lose it or anything. Especially now, you just have to scan your phone to get in. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's bullshit. Like, let's see the ID. And I'm like, no, it's really not. And then another cop comes out of nowhere. He goes, no, he's telling the truth. Like, they just got to scan their phones now. I'm like, all right, buddy, thank you. So I'm there like, this might actually work. So then they're going through, and they're like, all right, like, what's your name? And I'm like, Tyler. And they're like, what's your last name? And I gave him like some bullshit last name. I think it's like my roommate's last name or something like that. And then they go, what's your birthday? And I just took my birthday and added a year.
Right.
So it was like, it would add up to 21 at the time. And they're like doing the math in their head and everything. And they're like, oh, okay, like that checks out. They're like, all right, if you don't have your ID, like, let's go talk to this other cop because she can just like run your information if you're from Pennsylvania and like it'll all check out that you good to go. And I'm like, that sucks. I'm from New Jersey, actually. And they're like, oh, can't do that anymore. And I'm sitting there, like all my friends are just standing there watching. And I'm like, guys, get out of here. Because it comes down to it, I'm going to run. They're 2 fat cops. Like I was feeling liquid confidence in me. So I'm standing there with them, and they eventually like start grabbing me and shit. And they're like, all right, you're being difficult. And I'm like, dude, I can't say the word, get your hands off me. And they're like, all right, if you don't like cooperate, like we're going to go down to the station. And I'm like, dude, leave me alone. So then they like start patting down my pockets. And I didn't want them to touch my back pocket because I had my wallet. Mm-hmm. So I'm like pulling out all these beer cans from me. And like I said, I had like 7 on me at the time. So there's just 7 beer cans sitting in front of me and these 2 cops surrounding me like by a car. And they eventually like were like, all right, that's it. We're going to the station, and like try to put me in handcuffs. And I smacked his hand again. I said, nope, I'm calling my lawyer. And they're like, okay, this will be good. So I literally just took out my phone, called my mom. And I'm like, I'm like, Mom, and they're like, oh, nice lawyer you got. I'm like, Mom, these two cops won't believe me that I'm 21. Like, can you tell them my birthday is? And they're like, nope, don't tell her your birthday. And I'm like, Mom, you know what my birthday is. Like, can you just please talk to them? And so I handed the cop my phone. And I looked at my friends. I was like, you guys should just leave. Like, and I'm sorry, Alec.
It's okay. We can edit it.
All right, whatever. So he walks away for like 30 seconds, and the other cop's like, are you actually 21? I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, I'm telling you, I'm 21. Like, you really think I'm this good at lying? Completely lying at this point. He comes back 30 seconds later, hands me my phone, and goes, you're good to go. And I swear to God, my jaw dropped so fast. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, it's all good. You're good to go. And I'm like, can I take my beers? He's like, yep. So I grabbed all my beers and just started walking away. My friend's like, what happened? I go, I have no clue. Just walk. So we're walking, trying to get in the stadium. I call my mom, like, how the hell did you get me out of that? She's like, all they asked was your birthday, and I just took your birthday and added a year. And I'm like, let's go. And like, if they ask my last name, they ask their address, any of that, I'm screwed. But they're just like, no, it's his birthday. She said the same exact fake birthday as me, and it worked out perfectly.
Wow.
Fantastic. And that's the second story in a row where you said, let me have the phone to call my lawyer, and it was your mom. You called your mom. So.
Lesson learned. When you need a lawyer, call your mom.
Call your mom. Call Tyler's mom.
All right.
Seriously, she's getting me out of trouble. I don't know why, but yeah. That's what happens when you're the favorite.
Well. Okay.
All right. Good one.
That was a good one. That was good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, for sure. Justin, what do you think about that?
That's pretty funny. I don't think my mom would ever do that for me, though. Not gonna lie. If I called my mom, she would just be like, "Nah."
She'd put the handcuffs on you herself, wouldn't she?
Yeah, probably, dude.
Well, see, my mom was at the tailgate before I went to like the white tent tailgates, so she like knew I was like pretty hammered and everything. So I think she was kind of prepared for the situation to happen. But
yeah.
But if you got put on house arrest in Justin's house, it'd be cool, right? Like, I mean, he's got a gym, he's got pool, he's got all this stuff. So it's perfect.
Let's have a drink off with me, apparently.
Yeah, we are. Auburn.
I would smoke you, kid.
You probably would, but it would be fun. As long as I don't die.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can't come back from. So
yeah,
you don't want that.
Yeah.
How about the chat saying he almost got shot?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna bring Alex on.
That
almost
over a microphone. Yeah, I don't know what that was about, but yeah, that was another something to open your phone up to and read, and you're just like, what do you people do like over a microphone?
Yeah,
but we'll save that we'll have him. He could come on if Dylan doesn't show up again. He could he could tell that story or something.
Next time I'll tell all of the stories of Alec getting kicked out of bars.
Yeah, thanks.
I got you.
Sounds great. Can't wait. It'll be fun. So to make up for the time we were going to give to Dylan, we're going to talk about the whiteout this year, which there's a lot of controversy going on with it because Fox picked up the game. Picked up the Penn State Ohio State game, which was expected to be the whiteout. And as we know, Fox likes the noon time slot, and no one wants a whiteout with the sun up. So there's a lot of talk about which game matters the most. And Penn State football put out a poll, and they're like, what matters? And they're like, opponent, point in season, day game, or night game. And 68% was night game, 29% was opponent, 1% was day game. So we're going to go around, and I'm going to ask you guys which one you prefer. Start with you, Nate.
So I think, let's see. If it's late enough in the season, even a 3:30 game becomes a night game, right? Yeah. So like that's not such a big deal. But the opponent, I think, matters most. Like, you're not going to have the whiteout against, I don't know, Rutgers ever. Right? That's a waste of time. So I think it's got to be one of the one of the big two in the division, so either Ohio State or Michigan, and unless we're playing an SEC opponent or something like that, and then that's acceptable even earlier in the season. But it's got to be the opponent matters to me far more. There's been one noon whiteout. It was 2015 Michigan, and they lost.
Yeah.
So that's a disaster. But even a 3:30 is okay
against
a good opponent.
Terrible that game.
What's that?
The atmosphere was terrible that game.
It was, yeah. It was very sleepy, right? Just quiet, and Harbaugh was yelling. Saquon, that was when Saquon was a freshman, and we were in the one end zone. He got caught from behind, right? And that was the last time that ever happened to him. But and then DeAndre Tompkins fumbled a punt. I think muffed a punt at like the 5-yard line and gave him the bag. It was just a disaster.
Yeah.
So, night game or good opponent, number one, after 3:00 in the afternoon.
Okay, Justin, what do you got?
For this year, I want to say opponent for Ohio State, but if it's at 12, me personally, I went to Minnesota 2019. Got beer dumped all over me and my dad because it's the first time that ever we're good. They weren't ready for it to actually beat us. So personally, I kind of want Minnesota night game just so I can give it right back to their fans when we beat the crap out of them.
Hopefully.
So, but if we're actually I would really, it's Ohio State. You got to give it to them. Honestly, because if that's their biggest game of the year, it's the biggest game in a while. We could be undefeated up to that game. Probably lose to Michigan before that. So 5-1. So it's still a huge game. So I would say Ohio State. But if not, I want Minnesota second for a night game.
Okay. The only thing I have with Minnesota is there's no guarantee that game will be at night either.
That's
true. There's pretty much no reason for ABC. I'd have to see what the other games are that week. It's October 22nd. I don't know if that's the biggest game ABC can get that week where they throw it at.
Well, they could make it a night game and not be on ABC.
Yeah, Big Ten. I think we had Buffalo at night one year. So
that was in September. That was early September though.
That's true.
It was September 18th. It was my daughter's birthday. We were in Disney.
Well, the thing is, October 22, 3:30. You're getting dark by pretty much the whole second half. So,
as long as they don't make it 12:00 for Ohio State, if they can make it 3:30. That would be fine. After halftime would be night, or even at halftime. So.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if Fox is ever going to come off of this obsession with
it's their thing, because the pregame leads into it, right? It's what they want.
I also for the longest time CBS had kind of the 3:30, the SEC game of the week was at 3:30, and then ABC had the 8:00 game, so they kind of wanted the noon slot as theirs. I guess they're sticking with it, even though CBS is kind of out of the college football picture now with the SEC. No longer theirs.
That's true.
But we'll see. Tyler. Justin, it's okay.
No, I was just gonna say the only thing that would suck if it's 12:00. That's 7 a.m. wake up. You gotta get into line if you're a student by 10. Because I went in last year at 5:30, got in at 6. And I barely got a spot. I was walking up and down for 30 minutes till I finally squeezed.
That's you're 5'6", buddy. You got to be big, have broad shoulders, let's push your way.
Yeah.
I did actually see you walk up and down the bleachers.
Yeah, I was walking up and down. I was trying to find a spot, and then some kid left. We just all took a spot. We just all squeezed in.
Throw some elbows. That's how you got to do it.
That was honestly the quickest I ever saw the student section fill up. That was something.
So just looking quickly at the schedule. So Mississippi State plays Alabama that day. Mississippi plays LSU. That could be a big game potentially.
Is this the Minnesota Ohio State?
Yeah, that's the Minnesota. Sorry, October 22nd, Minnesota week. Texas plays Oklahoma State, and then
a lot of games.
Iowa at Ohio State. That's pretty much all you got.
Yeah, I think it'll come down to record, maybe.
Yep.
We'll see. All right, Tyler.
What's up?
What are you picking? You're probably night game because you just want to drink all day, but
yes. But also, I've grown up in state college my whole life, so I'm always used to the whiteout at night. It's just the way to do it. Spend the whole day tailgating, drinking, eating, and then it also gives you time because it's a type of game where everyone comes up for it. So you have time to go to multiple tailgates. You have time to it's more for like the town too, because people can start downtown, visit the shops, then they'll work their way to the stadium. Like, there's a lot that goes into those big weekends for not just Penn State football, but the State College community, and it just kind of takes away with it having it at noon.
I agree with that. That is definitely for sure. Yeah, I do feel it's gonna end up being noon, Ohio State. I don't know if they're gonna give it to Minnesota, and there's not another game on this home slate that comes anywhere close.
Sucks this year.
Yeah, the home. I
Michigan
hope the
State, right, is the only one. I mean,
then that's at the
Michigan
end of
State's
the year,
right? Yeah.
Last game of the year. So.
Yeah, and the problem is you risk if you already have a couple losses, there would be no juice there. That's also the
if you're 6-5 or 7-4 going into
make games that late either. So
yeah, the other thing is there's not a lot of people out there that have a white winter coat.
Yeah.
If you make the last game of the season the whiteout, it's just gonna look so bad. So
Central Michigan.
Yeah, Central Michigan. I mean, play Ohio, pretend it's Ohio State. I don't know. There's not a good answer, unfortunately, this year.
Who knows? Right. Hopefully Fox falls off a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. That's kind of the only solution at this point, it feels like.
Let's start a petition like Texas did.
They did do that, yeah.
For the Bama game.
Right. Justin, start the petition. We'll sign it.
I said if we all put $5 in and they're 437K followers, we could buy out Fox.
I mean, I don't think their net worth is the amount of Twitter followers they have, but
well, for the game.
Wait. Let's do the rough math. Okay, so $5 times 437K is about $2 million, right?
Yeah.
I think, give or take.
A little more, yeah.
Yeah. So if Fox is worth $2 million, right? That's not right. Maybe $5,000 a person, and that's $2 billion. Right?
Well, I just meant just buy the game. We don't have to buy them.
The game. I think you meant Fox.
Yeah,
I
just meant the game in general.
All right.
We'll do math next week.
Yeah. We're gonna stop there because I'm not going down the math trail. All right.
Alec is getting an awesome guest. He's lining up an awesome guest for us next week. So
yeah, we're not gonna tell you who it is though.
No. Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, we will get to that. All right. For Nate, what'd you say?
Nothing.
You ruined my outro. God damn it. For Nate, Tyler. Oh my God! How many times are you guys gonna do that?
You're gonna cut it. You gotta cut that.
I'm not cutting this. It's actually funny. I'm not editing it. No, it's funny. I'm keeping it in. I'm just gonna end it because you guys can keep talking. But all right, for Nate, Tyler, Justin, I'm Alec, Dylan. I hope you feel better. Bye.